want to dunk on? Who do you want to dunk on the most?
LeBron.
Yeah? Why is that?
Yeah.
That was a quick answer.
He's the GOAT to me, so it'll be an honor dunking on the GOAT. I want to guard Giannis.
Yeah?
That's what I want to go up against, because, he's a freaking nature.
Mike Schmitz of ESPN. We're here with projected top 10 pick Onyeka Okongwu out of USC. And so what do you think it is that you can bring to an NBA team?
Defense, honestly. I'm defensive minded. I love defense over offense, and I'm able to protect the rim and run and give a lot of energy. Playing hard is a skill set. That's what Jason Hart always told me. So I can honestly bring that to a team in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a good guy to listen to, Jay Hart. He's a great coach, and you had a good crew over there at USC, and obviously you had a tremendous season. And so one comparison you hear a lot, okay, is Bam Adebayo, and sometimes it's coming from us, sometimes it's coming from other people. I think we've talked about it before, and so I just want to get your take on that comparison and really set the table, because this is going to be our first kind of comparison breakdown where we're going to go through his film when he was a freshman, your film during your freshman year, and kind of look at some of the similarities. So what's your take on that comparison?
With Bam, I played Bam back in high school. Me and Bam, we have a similar body, similar athleticism. So, it's an honor to be compared to him. He's an NBA All-Star. I think me and him bring same things to the NBA table and different things as well.
So, yeah, I think the first thing you mentioned is the body type, the measurements. Are these accurate for you? 6'9", 245, 7'2", or no?
Well, end of the season, when we played UCLA, my strength coach measured me. I was 6'9" and some change without shoes on.
Okay.
So probably 6'10" with shoes on.
Okay, so 6'10", same as Bam, similar frame. Maybe he's a little bit wider up top, but both really strong, explosive in space. And I think both of you guys have kind of benefited from the way the game has changed, right? It's okay to be a guy 6'9", 6'10", who's playing the 5. I know you can play some 4. He's played a fair amount of 4 also. But I think you've really benefited also from just kind of the way the game has evolved. Interesting how the game has changed, but, you can see the measurements there. And then looking at some of your stats, too, if you can see this here, this is just a screen cap that I have, basically looking at your stats and his stats on a per 40-minute basis. So basically as if you both were playing 40 minutes. And you can see there's some similarities, but you average more points per 40 minutes, more rebounds, more steals, more blocks. You obviously had a very, very productive season. Now keep in mind, he was playing with Malik Monk, he was playing with De'Aaron Fox, Isaiah Briscoe on a team that won, I think, 32 games. So kind of a different scenario, but anything about your kind of statistical profile that stands out to you?
Definitely the block, 3.5. That's a lot. Probably should cut down the turnovers too. Turnovers is kind of high, but overall, it's looking really good.
Did you guys ever play each other on the Adidas circuit or just in high school?
Just in high school, not. When he was his last AAU season, I was going into my freshman year.
Got you. So, but no, I mean, the thing that stood out to me most is just how much you've evolved physically since then. Here you are kind of in a semi-transition, early play in the game, and you have the little push shot, signature push shot. How big were you at this point?
I was probably about 6'8", 220.
Okay. Yeah, you can just see, you probably would have dunked that nowadays, right?
For sure.
And then this is kind of one of your only head-to-head possessions. You remember this?
Yeah, I think Lonzo came from behind and blocked it.
Yep.
Was this one? Yeah.
Yep. So I don't think people realize how good Lonzo was in high school. How would you describe the type of player he was?
He was very unique. He could score, pass, and rebound. He can honestly play all 5 positions in high school.
Yeah.
It really helped out me and Eli a lot on the defensive end, boarding, because we were a small but talented team. So using him down there, it really helped a lot. He's very unique and versatile.
Yeah, going back and watching this and all the crazy outlets and even looking at LaMelo, he looked like he was 10 years old. What was it like to play that style?
It was honestly really fun. Got their shots up a lot. I was always running down, getting easy layups, a lot of dunks back in my freshman year. It was fun playing with them. It really was.
Yeah, it was an exciting, brand of basketball. And here he kind of gets you on the deep seal, but you wall up, and then Lonzo helps you out, with the crackdown block. And yeah, I was at a handful of your games, and he was ridiculous. And then here, what happens? He maybe gets you on the offensive rebound.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit.
Yeah, he was so much stronger than me back then, so I really had nothing to couldn't really do much about it.
And he was, I mean, a 3-4 year age gap, you know what I mean? And he was a beast.
Yeah.
I remember watching him since he was young, and the thing that always stood out to me is he could do a lot more than you probably saw at Kentucky, right? He could handle, he could pass, and now we're seeing that a little bit more here. What happens here? You get him on this one, right?
Yes, I did. I forgot about that play.
There you go. Little offensive rebound, little push shot, put back. And we saw that a lot at USC, kind of your touch, these touch shots. I think that's going to help you, a lot. And then he gets you here, though. Just easy.
Yeah, easy, yeah.
You were young, man. You were, what, 14, 15 years old. It's crazy, like I said, how much you've evolved physically since then. And, he was getting downhill. He was aggressive. But you guys won this game by 30, 40 points. This is the one that stood out to me most about him, though. Because if you watch him, and this is going to kind of be a theme here, but if you watched him at Kentucky, it was like 40% of his offense was in the post. And you didn't see a lot of this, okay? Look at this. This is kind of the player he's turned into now. And that's what's so unique about him is on top of the things that you can do at a high level, in terms of defending and finishing, he's got a little bit of that too. And some passing feel also. And so that's kind of what stood out to me about him in this game. But again, you had your moments also, and then you're going to have you had a couple dunks late to finish it off. And like I said, you guys won big. So here's a look at your statistical profiles as freshmen, okay? So this is kind of from Synergy, just kind of a breakdown of your possession types. Top 3 possession types are the same: posts, cuts, offensive rebounds. And obviously you were super effective out of the post. And just the fact that, 42% of his possessions were in the post, and now it's like 5%. So it's just, you're not always used the same in college as you are at the collegiate level. So we're going to go through, like I said, both your film from your freshman year and kind of compare and contrast. And one of the main things that always stood out about him was his ability to run the floor. You can see here, he's just an athlete, right? He can get up and down and then chin-ups on the rim. Take me through this is very similar possession from you. Take me through this play for you.
I remember this one. I remember Melo White was guarding me, and he was not as quick or fast as me, so I just ran down the court. And I hope Elijah Weaver saw me, and he did. And I just dunked the pass he threw to me.
Did you know you were going to catch that lob?
Honestly, I didn't. I just caught it, and I turned my head. I saw the rim right there, so I'm like, might as well.
Yeah, no, I have that problem a lot too. I just jump and then happen to dunk a lob. That's a good problem to have, man. No, I think that's where you guys have some similarities, right? Running the floor, rim runners, lob catchers, and then in the half court, you're both really good out of ball screens, right? Vertical spacers, I call that. So you talk about your floor spacers who can space it as shooters, but also if you're a lob threat. And there's another one. Both of you guys really explosive off the 2 feet, and 2 of the best offensive rebounders in your respective drafts. I think you were 4.3 offensive rebounds per 40 minutes. He was around 4, and you do it in similar ways, okay? Here, he was a freak. And he played so hard in that area as an offensive rebounder. What do you remember about this on your end?
Just how it boxed me out, I just kept going because he wasn't as strong as me, so I just kept going to the basket and got the tip dunk.
Yeah, so you can do it with the tip dunks, and then he was really good in these swim moves, right? It's kind of a hand fight at that point. He's just stronger, and here's a similar possession from you. Swim move, blow by, tip in. So you guys do it in similar ways. Now, that's how you're going to impact the game probably initially in the NBA, right? As a lob catcher, as a rim runner, as a finisher. Any other areas you think offensively you can have an impact from day one?
Maybe slashing a little bit.
Yeah.
Ripping baseline. I can definitely, if I polish that up a little bit, I can affect the NBA like that.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously in the post, you were super effective. That was your most used play type. You were really efficient. You got it over each shoulder. And I think what made him so effective at the collegiate level was just how aggressive he is. What do you see here that he does?
He just dunks his man in, and just gets an easy dunk.
Yeah, just strong, big, right? Similar play from you here. And you abused my man Brandon Carlson a little bit in this one. What are you trying to do here?
I just tried to make him think I was lackadaisical and just got him slipping and just dunked him in. Yeah,
and you had a lot of really good moments, like I said, from this game. So, Bam maybe a little bit stronger than you at the same age, but similar in terms of weight and, ability to kind of move bodies. Now, this is some of the nasty that he had, okay? What do you think of this?
That's a grown man.
A grown man.
Big boy.
Big boy. Yeah, he's always been super aggressive, super physical. I think your game is maybe a little bit more finesse. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely more finesse. I have some power to me, but I don't have as much power as Bam did my freshman year.
But look at this. You got a little of this, though. You remember this?
Oh, yeah, this is a dunk.
Yep. Little rip through. Again on my man, Brandon Carlson. Tough day for him. But, again, maybe not quite as powerful, but the swim move to get a deep catch, and then the rip through, kind of up and under, and then tearing down the rim. So this is Bam. Deep catch, drop step, dunk on Robert Williams. Whereas you have a little bit more of this. Left shoulder, soft touch. And then you're really effective over your right shoulder. That's always been the case?
Ever since I was young, I always had my left hand. You know, my AAU coach, all elementary and junior high, always told me to use my left hand when I needed to. So it just stuck with me through high school and college.
Yeah, you can see it here over your right shoulder. I think with the and one, you cover ground with that hop step. So I think you have more finesse than probably Bam did at the same age. He had kind of short range jump hooks, but I mean, you were close to unstoppable in the post when you were able to get to that left or right shoulder. But this clip here, your turn and face game, okay? He was really aggressive getting downhill. And again, he played a lot with his back to the basket at Kentucky, but you could see, I mean, this is a big first step, right?
Yeah.
And just aggressive, powerful, explosive. And I think you have that a little bit too. But what are you usually trying to do when you turn and face?
I usually try to rip right, and they cut me up, I spin back.
This is kind of one of your go-tos, right?
Yeah.
So not a different situation, right? But not necessarily trying to take somebody's head off, more abuse them with your footwork, your timing, and your touch. Again, I think that translates really well to the NBA, just because you're going to be playing big-bodied, long-armed centers. Now, one point of interest for you and him has always been shooting, right? He wasn't a guy who really stretched the floor at Kentucky, but he always made these mid-range shots, and he shot, I think, 65% from the free throw line. So he always had potential with it. Now, he hasn't really made threes in the NBA. I think he's an okay free throw shooter. He's good in these mid-range spots. And you were kind of a little bit similar. I think you made more shots, made more jumpers as a freshman, shot it better from the free throw line. Where are you at right now as a shooter, and where do you think your range will extend to throughout your NBA career?
I think I'll get enough credit as a shooter because I can really shoot the ball. But at USC, I didn't really shoot a lot because Nick was always on the perimeter a lot, so we needed somebody down low. And I was okay with that because, it helped our team win. So I was down there begging bodies. But I think as a shooter, because back in high school I used to shoot a lot, like 2 threes and mid-ranges. And I have the touch for it. I just got to work on my jumper more, be consistent with it.
Yeah, so you think you'll be shooting NBA threes eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I think I have the capability to definitely extend to the three-point line.
Yeah, and usually free throw percentage is a really good indicator of that, and you've always been a very good free throw shooter. You have soft touch. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you're a guy who's going to be able to space the floor eventually. You've always had soft touch. Now as a passer, okay, so this is the area that Bam, I think, has made the most growth. Because if you look at his freshman year, he had twice as many turnovers as assists. And now you look at him, he's one of the best passing big men in the NBA. Like, he's pushing, we'll get into it a little bit later and show you his NBA stuff, but he's pushing in transition, kind of like that clip we saw against you guys from high school. We've seen a lot more of that in the NBA. Where are you at right now as a passer, and what are your kind of strengths and weaknesses in those areas?
I have my moments, I have my moments where I look like a good passer, but also I make bad decisions sometimes. I make ill-advised turnovers passing the ball. Definitely got to work on that. So I'll say I'm an okay to getting better passer. And
based on your freshman seasons, from watching him then and from watching you now, I think you're probably a little bit ahead, honestly. And he's a guy who's turned into, like I said, a really, really good passer. Because if you look back at the scouting reports on Bam from back in the day, there were questions about the feel for the game and the decision-making and all that. And now he's a complete stud in that area. So I think that speaks to the importance of watching guys before college also, because you can see him in different settings and stuff like that. But he was always able to make just these basic reads, right? Deep seal, kick out to the corner for an Isaiah Briscoe three. Simple reads he was always really good with. And same for you. I think you handled double teams really well this year. You've seen this clip before. What's your read here?
I saw Ethan's man leave him, and Ethan teed it up for a three.
Yep, and that's a great read. And not, trusting in a guy who's maybe not known as a great shooter, but just being able to read and react and handle those double teams well. I thought you did a good job with retreat dribbles and kind of playing patiently in the post. Now for him, we didn't see a ton of passing on the perimeter, right? I mean, this is kind of what he looked like at Kentucky for stretches. Didn't look as comfortable playing on the perimeter. And we saw some of that from you early on in the year, right? What happens here?
Yeah, for sure. It's turnover. I try to rip right, I lose it, and then I thought Jonah was open, and I think he was, but it was just a bad pass.
Yep, and then as the year goes along, though, you got a lot better, and we saw glimpses from him, a few glimpses, not a ton, but a few. And this is a very NBA-style set, kind of a short roll, and then he hits the corner for the assist, and then here's you showing your progress. What happens here?
I hit somebody. Yeah, Ethan for 3.
Yep, and again, just kind of coming off, seeing that, they're committed 3 to the paint basically, and then just a basic, easy kick out. Nothing crazy, but being able to make those basic reads is important. But him at Kentucky, I'm telling you, he was not some big-time playmaker, Here he tries to attack, it's very crowded, and tries to force it a little bit there. Whereas I thought you showed some flashes. Watch this. You remember this?
Hit Isaiah for a layup.
Yeah, very similar read, right? You're kind of coming off. It's congested, but a little short roll, dump off there late on the sink, and it's a great pass. So, again, I do think, honestly, if you just watch both of your college film, I think you showed maybe a little bit more promise as a passer. But I think one area you can improve is as a ball handler in these situations, right?
For sure.
What happens here?
For sure. I try to rip, and Josh Green was right there, and I lose it.
Yeah, so maybe it's hitting that corner, right? Maybe it's hitting Jonah right away, or just being more aware. What would you have done differently?
Definitely hit Jonah, but usually I get a short roll like that. They usually stunt, they go back to the man they were guarding, but he just stayed right there, and I lost the ball.
Yeah, but again, you showed some glimpses of being able to attack. You remember this play?
The Euro.
Yep, the Euro. What are you seeing here?
Definitely, I was thinking about shooting it, but I'm like, let me just get started early, get to the basket. I work on stuff like that, so I knew I was confident in getting around gettings.
So you got the Euro. That's in your bag.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, yeah, there it is. There it is. So that's the offensive side of the ball, and I think where you guys are different is maybe you're a little bit more cerebral at the same age, with your touch shots and your footwork, whereas he was more athlete, physical, roller, diver, and you're maybe a little bit of a blend of both. But we'll see later, like I said, how much he's progressed as a guy who can play with the ball and push and transition and all that. So now moving to the defensive side of things, okay? You guys have some similarities there also. What type of season do you think you had defensively?
Honestly, I exceeded my own expectations. Once I got my body right, I realized I'm really agile, athletic, and I quick lateral foot speed, to be honest. I can honestly get better. So in practice, I was able to stick with the guards on switches, and it just translated during the games and season.
Yeah, you could see it throughout the course of the year, and that's one area where Bam has always been amazing. At Kentucky, I could have had 15, 20 clips of him just stonewalling guards, and he just tremendous feet, great stance. He was super active all the time. This is against a little jet guard. He's able to stay with guys, alter shots, and I feel like you do it more with your smarts and your instincts, right? You play angles really well. What do you remember about this play?
He tracks it's a block for sure. Yeah, a block, and I got the ball back.
Big point of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you came up with some huge plays down the stretch, and even you got a little bit of an unorthodox stance sometimes.
Yeah, definitely sometimes, but I always make up for it because of my athleticism.
Yep, and your IQ, your instincts. You had a lot of these en-ball blocks throughout the course of the season. And Bam, again, didn't matter what stance. His feet are always moving. He can cut anybody off. He'll force you into contested pull-up. He was really, really good in those areas. And like I said, whereas you have quick feet, athleticism, you play angles really well. That's against Desmond Bane. You force him to kill it in those mid-range spots, and that's tough. Now, he wasn't perfect, okay? He gets broken off here. So, sorry, Bam. But he wasn't perfect. Look at their bench. Their bench is loving it. But yeah, again, this is against Donovan Mitchell, a really good team. And so he had his lapses also, and I think, we saw that at times from you. What do you remember from this play?
He just beat me he laid it up for sure. He just beat me to the spot, and he laid it up.
And one thing I would say is maybe, at least in the NBA, they're probably going to want you to keep the ball to the sideline, right? Almost switch your stance because it's easier help if you have the guy rotating from the baseline and then you have, everyone sinking to the ball from there. A lot of teams will want to keep the ball to the sideline if they can, but again, a lot of times I think you can recover with your length there at the rim. But again, Bam was a total freak. I mean, 1 through 5 didn't matter. Alec Peters, a guy who was drafted, really successful player at Valpo, stonewalls him. And then this is one of your best possessions. What do you remember about this one?
That's my boy Timmy. He tried to lay me for the game, and I remember I grabbed it and he found me or got a jump ball.
So that's your guy?
That's my boy.
How do you guys know each other?
He played on Compton Magic with me.
There you
for
go.
2 years.
There you go. So what did you say to him after this? Anything?
Not after this, but after the game, I'm like, don't ever try that again.
Yeah, you got him. And again, he's kind of a big wing, right? Who's an aggressive driver, and you do a great job of just squaring him up, staying down on the fake, and then using your length. Give me that. It's a great defensive play late in the game. So one area, I think Bam maybe at the same age had you a little bit in these switches just because his footwork is insane. And you'll see him later. The way they've used him in the NBA, like he's chasing around Kawhi, LeBron, Paul George, and then he's trying to body up Embiid. Like they're using him on everybody. And so he's really turned into that like 5-tool defender. And I think you have the ability to do that as well. One area I think you were probably a little bit ahead is in these drop situations because of your IQ. So you'll see him here, right? He does a good job of containing the ball because of his quickness. They kind of just run into him and it's a turnover, right? And you have great feet. What do you do here?
I think I just headed it a little bit and got back to my man.
Yeah, because, we've seen your feet in these hedges, right? You're really good in hedges, but you're probably not going to play out of hedges as much in the NBA. You see that probably more in college. So in these kind of drop situations where you're up at the level of the ball, that's really good. You square them up, keep them in front, get back to yours, and then you guys secure the rebound. So you can see your feet there, right? Bam wasn't always that disciplined, though. Sometimes he's up, he's a little too high. What could he have done differently here?
He could have definitely backed up a little bit.
Yep.
Backed up a little bit because the big man, he wasn't a shooter probably. The man he was guarding, so he could have definitely backed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good point. Not a shooter. That's a good point. And then so here, I thought you had a lot of success kind of in these drop situations, blocking jump shots. I mean, you blocked a ton of jump shots this year. You know how many?
Nah, how many?
I don't know. But the Oregon game was impressive. You got Peyton Pritchard a few times, right?
Yeah.
And so what's the key to, what are you reading as they come off? Here, I'll play the clip for you here. But what's the key to like being able to keep them in front, but also being able to be there for the pull-up?
Honestly, I just play by personnel and by scout. Before games, I usually look at the players, see what they do, their tendencies, and off their film, I just tell myself, is he going to shoot it, is he going to pass it? And knowing Remy Martin, how they play at ASU, he's going to shoot the ball before passing it for sure. So I just timed it perfectly.
Yeah, so he likes that snake and then to get to that mid-range pull-up, right? And so much of it is giving yourself enough space to keep the ball in front, but then also be able to contest if he pulls up. And you don't see that from a lot of bigs your age. It's usually a long learning process, so I think you're well ahead of the curve there. One thing Bam does really well is in these kind of cat and mouse bluff and recover situations. What do you like about what he does here?
He has long arms, so he was able to get the over-the-head pass.
Yep. And just kind of stunts at him, recovers, right? Really active. And I've showed you this before. I love this play out of you. What are you reading here?
I was reading that Weaver basically got back to him, and he wasn't going to try and shoot over me. The only other way was Samuel was rolling, so I just timed it perfectly, and I saw Daniel get ahead of number 5, and I just threw it. Yep.
No, it's great. And great instincts, great timing, and that's going to serve you really well. And Bam is really good in those situations also. So one area where you guys both maybe had some questions coming out is can you handle like these big bruiser 5s, right? And that was a question for Bam because, like I said, similar measurements. And he had some trouble with guys like Tyler Davis. You remember Tyler Davis?
Nah, I don't.
He was a bucket. If Tyler Davis could catch in the post, 2 feet in the paint, he was a bucket. So, I mean, Bam is a big dude, right? But he's able to get deep position. And you've seen this clip. What happens here?
That one. I was just in the middle of the key, and Isaiah Stewart, he's just so wide, I couldn't get around him. So, it was evident he was going to score.
Yeah,
I got to do my work early.
Yeah, that's the key, right? And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But even Bam had some troubles, dealing with kind of these these stronger bigs. Moses Kingsley, he was a really good college player. And then I think Romello White gets you here. What happens here?
He definitely buys me up. I try to block it, but when I didn't get it, he just scored.
And I think being low, right? Low man wins, and being able to use your leverage and your quickness in different ways, because that's how he improved. Like you said, doing your work early. Okay, he's in a 3-quarter denial. He's not letting him move him, and then look, forces the offensive foul, baits him into it, right? I think for you, it's your quickness, your instincts. You remember this play?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw the ball from Romello White. He got to post me up, and I just read it, and I got around him on the other side, and got the steal.
Yeah, and like I said, it's your instincts. Even though he may be, a little bit more physical at times, just not allowing him to bury you deep and using your quickness. So this is the main area where I think you have an advantage if we're talking about you two comparatively. I think you're one of the best shot blockers in the draft, and that's an area where he's gone up and down a little bit. But, I mean, you are a bona fide rim protector. What's the key to that for you, being so effective?
Honestly, it's been natural with me since I was young, honestly. Playing little AAU basketball, I've always been a shot blocker. I've always just taken pride in that. I'm very prideful on the defensive end, not letting people score at all. So that shot blocking comes from that. Yeah,
and your instincts are a huge part of it. Bam was able to, I think, block 2 shots per 40 minutes in a big way because of his length. He had decent timing, but, I mean, look at those arms. He could do it with either hand. That's ridiculous. I think 7'3" wingspan and just, batting the ball out of bounds, like I said, with either hand. Whereas your instincts and timing are elite. What do you see here? What do you remember about this one?
Oh, this is forgetting me. I definitely got a little tip on it. I don't know if it was going or not, but I just blocked it, honestly. Got a little finger piece off it, so that's what happened.
Yeah, and a game on the line, right? Another big play down the stretch, but you can see your timing, you can see your leaping ability, and just taking that away. That's a huge play. And then here's Bam. His verticality was not great at this point, okay? What would you have done differently here if you were him?
I would have jumped, I wouldn't have gone out the way. I would have just stayed right there, or at least met him at the rim or something.
Yep.
That's what I would have done differently.
And there's Josh Jackson. People forget, too, Josh Jackson was cold in college and in high school. Did you ever play against him?
I did not, no.
Yeah, I mean, really, really talented. But, yeah, that the defensive motor kind of came and went a little bit for Bam, more than you would think given what you see in the NBA. And the verticality piece, I think, is something he's learned over the years. And you already have it. So talk me through this.
Just straight vertical, I just made sure he wasn't going to get around me, do a slip layup.
Yeah.
I just met him at his spot and just hands both up.
Yeah, it's perfect technique. And you do a good job of these in ball screens, too. You kind of let him come to you, and because you're not going to jump it right away, right? Because then he can make a quick pocket pass. So you got to time it really well, and then you're off the ground almost before he is. Look at that. Just straight up and down. That's how any young big should take note there. That's really good. And then here's Bam again. He was kind of up and down in these situations, right? Even in ball screens. People, what would you have done differently here?
I would honestly beat him to the spot. I would never let him put his body into me first.
Yep, and just kind of be more in a stance, right, and ready to go. Whereas here you do a really good job talking through this.
Yeah, it's just straight bodying up, not getting out of the way, making him have to go through me.
And I think the key is, too, you do a really good job of making sure the big doesn't get behind you, right? A lot of times you'll see young bigs, they'll be too far up in the ball screen, and then Samuel can just dive behind you, and that's putting a lot of pressure on your weak side defense. Whereas there, you keep him in front, able to play both, and just a really good job. But one thing he's always been really good at, okay, is kind of patrolling this back line to get steals. He ranks, I think, like 4th or 5th in the NBA in defensive win shares, which is a metric a lot of analytics guys will use. What do you like about this play from him?
He stopped the lob. If he wasn't right there, Jackson would have definitely dunked it.
Yep.
Just good defensive awareness.
Yep, the instincts, the length, he always had that. And you get a ton of steals. I think over a steal and a half per 40 minutes. What's the key for you being so active there?
I just read the floor. I just anticipate where the ball's going. Or I definitely bait the defenses, too, thinking someone's open, but I'm right there waiting for that pass to get through. Definitely against Colorado, I had a couple of those.
Yeah, you jumped the passing lanes a few times. And here as that backline defender, I really like this because you're in position to make a play at the rim, but you're reading his eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Great instincts. And then if it was Chino Hill's days, you guys would be running. LaMelo would already be at the rim for a layup. But again, really good defensive instincts. So we've seen a ton of success from you there on that end of the floor, and I think you're a guy who, like I said, can guard the rim at a high level, but can also step out, and that's a big part of your intrigue. All right, so we've looked at kind of you and Bam at the same age, right? And we've looked at the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, you guys against each other in high school. And now I just want to show you kind of the player he's evolved into, right? With that as your baseline and what you've seen from him, kind of show you the growth that he's made, because he's really improved a lot over the course of these last 3 seasons in the NBA. Obviously, he was an all-star. And if you look at his film here, he's almost a different player on the offensive end of the court. And I think there are some little things that maybe you could even take from the evolution he's made to bring to your game. So first, we're just going to kind of remind you him defensively and what he's doing, because he's guarding everybody. Here you can see against Brandon Ingram, he can sit down and guard wings, right? He can contest. He's chasing around LeBron, Kawhi, PG, and then here against Anthony Davis, so he'll guard Brandon Ingram one play, Anthony Davis the next, gets a little bit of help. Who are you looking forward to guarding the most in the NBA?
Honestly, I want to guard Giannis.
Yeah?
That's what I want to go up against, because, he's a freak of nature, and he's one of my favorite players, so it'll be fun playing against him.
How would you guard Giannis?
Honestly, he's long arms, athlete. I honestly play him for a drive, force him to shoot, and if he's driving, just try and body him up, to be physical with him.
Yeah, so you got to gap him, give him space, make him shoot it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be looking forward to that one when you guys first match up. But yeah, like I said, Bam, he's guarding everybody, every position. Drew Holiday, good verticality at the rim, forces the turnover. And then here against Montrez. Is that a guy you studied at all, Montrez?
Honestly, people have told me I get compared to Montrez Harrell sometimes, because, he doesn't shoot threes, really. He just drives to the basket, and he's just a dog, honestly. That dog mindset. He's every offensive rebound, and just is a terror in the paint.
Yeah, I think that's another guy for you to watch, right? Similar measurements. And, he's added a lot of the perimeter skill to his game. He's got the floater. He's improved as a passer. But here, Bam just completely stonewalls him. So you remember him earlier, right? Struggling against Tyler Davis. Well, now that's not happening to him. Look at that low center of gravity. Can't move him, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can, take some tips from that, just how physical he's gotten as he's continued to improve. And then we've seen this before, right? Does a really good job rotating from that weak side for these steals. He's kind of a free safety back there. And then if it is a shot blocking situation, he can rotate over with the left. And kind of same thing we saw in college, relying on that length. And then where he's really improved is really buying in as a defensive rebounder. He's one of the best defensive rebounders in the NBA, and that's an area you can add a ton of value. Where do you think you're at as a rebounder right now?
I think I'm a good defensive rebounder. I'm better offensively,
yep.
But definitely I can be a better defensive rebounder with my athleticism and when I get more strength.
Yeah, I think so. And we saw some ups and downs for you on the defensive side of the ball as a rebounder, but this shows you perfectly. Kevin Samuel's a big dude, right? NBA size center. You get low, and great hands, great extension. Your hands, I think, are one of your best qualities. So before we show you kind of his offensive improvement to end it here, I want you to just look at his progress, right? Okay, so look at his assists year by year, right? And remember, I told you that's a guy who us had a lot of questions about his feel for the game. Can he play make? Can he make others better? And now he's one of the better passing big men in the NBA. And then we showed you his post ups in college, 42% of his offense. Now look at it in the NBA, 6%. And now he's playing so much out of pick and roll as a roll man, as an initiator. And I think you might see some of that stuff too. Being able to play in space a little bit more. Is that something you did prior to college? Like, were you playing on the perimeter a little bit more or no?
More so, like, if I got the ball on the perimeter at the top of the key, I'd rip a lot.
Yeah.
A lot to the basket. My freshman, sophomore year, or all rips, really. I never posted up when I was a freshman or sophomore. So I wasn't really post-based most of high school. It was usually in college. That's what Coach Enfield needed out of me, just a tear in the paint. So I said, I got you, Coach. Yeah,
and you were great in that area. And now I think we might see you more out of these short rolls. And so first, Bam, this is what he is initially, right? This is what you're going to be. Same thing, rim runner. He's great at this transition, tremendous finishing above the rim. And then as a vertical spacer, like we talked about, this is what he is in the NBA too. He's a really, really effective lob catcher. And then watch this. He'll put you on a poster. What do you think of this? Woo!
Yeah, That's his big dude, and it's big boy.
Can you do that?
Absolutely.
So we'll see that from you. Even on AD, who do you want to dunk on? Who do you want to dunk on the most?
LeBron.
Yeah? Why is that?
Yeah.
That was a quick answer.
He's the GOAT to me, so it'd be an honor to dunk on the GOAT.
So you're a LeBron over Jordan guy.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, even in the amidst the Last Dance era, you're LeBron. Why?
Because LeBron he's mastered the game. He can honestly do whatever he wants. He can score, pass, rebound, defend. Like, he's just the ultimate basketball player.
Yeah, I mean his versatility and his ability to play make at that size. I don't think people realize he's like 6'9", he's your size. You know, he's almost as big as you. And we had some clips of Bam kind of chasing him around also. So you might have to guard LeBron some too. But so that's what he was initially, right? He was a dunker, lob catcher, offensive rebounder, all that. But this is what he's added. Okay, look at this. I mean, he plays almost as like a point forward, point center regularly. And that takes us back to this clip, right? Were you ever playing this style? Were you ever able to push off the break like this or not as much?
Not really coast to coast, but like if I got a defensive rebound, I'll dribble a little bit, pass to a guard, and just keep running.
Yeah. And this is something, again, like I said, that he's developed and become more comfortable with. I think this is somewhere you can be really good out of these DHOs. What do you like about what he does here? Fakes it?
It's just quick because the big man on the Clippers isn't as fast or quick as Bam, so they're able to get around him.
Yep. And yeah, Zubats has no chance against a guy like that, right? And so if you're going to be playing some 5, you're going to be in these situations. And look at all this space. So do you have this in your bag?
Definitely.
You're comfortable in those face-ups, like you said, the rips. And, I mean, that's against a really good defender. But his quickness, watch, he's got kind of the same foot, same hand, finish there. I mean, that's really impressive. So I think continuing to fine-tune that type of stuff and then playmaking out of it, right? What do you like about this?
Yeah. No, that's a nice bounce pass, honestly.
Yeah, and I think just you could see where he was, right? He was a guy who had questions about his feel for the game, and now he's doing this type of stuff. Really, really impressive. I mean, what do you notice about this?
You know, it looks like he's not as confident in his jumper because he's wide open for the jump shot, but he decides to take a couple dribbles, see what else he can get, and he got a good pass.
And that's how teams are kind of playing him, you know? They're backing off of him because he hasn't really developed consistently as a shooter, and I think you're going to be able to make that shot, but even so, he's still able to have an impact because of his passing ability. And that's, it's a good read. It's a good read to a guy who's a really good off-ball mover. And then this is going to be a huge shot for you. I think you already have this. But you're not going to be able to dunk everything, right?
Yeah.
You have this?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm more finesse and power because I've always been told you can't dunk everything. You got to work on your touch. So I always work on my touch with both hands. That's why I'm so good with my left.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be bread and butter for you. Kind of these short rolls against those deep drops, even against an Embiid type. I think you're going to have that all day in your game. And now you got to pass out of it, right?
Yeah.
What's the read here? AD helping at the rim.
Yeah, definitely helped hit Derrick Jones for the 3.
Yeah, and I think that's the next piece of the puzzle for you, being able to really become an elite playmaker like Bam has. A guy who's, like I said, turned into one of the best passing bigs, in the NBA, and this is the last one to end it, just to see how ridiculous this is.
That's a good play. He's falling out of bounce and just happens to look around and see his teammate open.
Yeah, so having watched all that, what do you think of this comparison?
Honestly, I'm true to it. I think that Bam is honestly my best comparison in the NBA. And if I continue to watch some of his film, I can take a lot out of his game to become a better player myself. And
so my last question here. I know LaMelo Ball is one of your good friends. So what's the scouting report on Melo, and what do you think he'll be like in the NBA?
Honestly, Melo's creativity is off the charts. He can honestly do anything with the basketball. He's getting more athletic. He's a great shooter. But I know all his moves. So I always tell him, man, when I see him on that switch, you're not scoring. 'Cause I know all his combos when he's letting the ball fly. But he's a great player. I think he'll be a great point guard in the future.
So you're looking forward to that matchup whenever you play him.
Yeah, him and Lonzo actually. I told Lonzo the same thing. When I see him on that switch, you're not scoring.
So what are their moves? What are their go-to moves? Or you don't want to let the world know?
I'm gonna let everybody find out.
All right,
y'all gonna see.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that first matchup. Big O, I appreciate your time, man. Like I said, it's been cool to watch you grow from those days as a freshman against Bam when you looked like a skinnier version of your current self, and obviously now, projected top 5, top 10 picks. So we appreciate you taking the time, and stay safe out there.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.